Alright, so we're ready to move on to our next project. And this one is, if you haven't figured it out, clay. You'll be using Sculpey 3 clay. You'll be using 2 packages of clay. It really doesn't make a difference what colors you get, because we actually are going to paint these in the end. The only colors I would not want you to have are the really dark colors, blacks and browns, so we'll try to keep that out of the mix, just because they're harder to cover up, where the other colors will be fine. So the Alebrijes are brightly colored Mexican folk art sculptures of fantastical creatures. That's right. Creatures that have 2 or more body parts that actually don't belong to them. So, for example, if you were doing a dog with wings, or a dog with a lizard tail, and alligator feet, that's an Alebrije. There began with the artist Pedro Linares, and in the 1930s, Linares fell ill. He was sick in bed, and because of his illness, he started to hallucinate, basically, and had these really, really strange dreams. He saw donkeys with butterfly wings, roosters with bullhorns, and so on. And when he got better, he decided to create his dreams, sort of like the surrealist artists do. And he began creating these creatures that he made them with really brightly colored patterns and designs. And that is what then became sort of the standard for this Mexican folk art sculpture, the Alebrijes. We're not doing paper mache, but we're doing clay, which is even better. It's not as messy and can be done faster. So what I've done is I have conditioned the clay. I'm sure you all remember doing that if you were here in 4th grade, in 6th grade too, which would be the last, 6th grade was the last time we do these, and then we do it again now. Actually, I haven't done these for a couple years, so you're a special group that you get to do these. They're expensive, of course. The clay is about $2.50 a block. That's called a block. One of these squares is a block. $2.50, and so then it's $5 a student. You can certainly figure the math out for that. So as I said, I've conditioned the clay. I've sort of mixed these together. And what I'm trying to do is create a pretty nice and even cylinder. So when you start off with the clay, it's easier to break these into parts. So you see there's 4 parts, and start squeezing, and between the compression of your hands and the heat of your hands, it begins to mix in that polymer into the rest of the clay, and it has to be conditioned. If you bake clay that's unconditioned, which I don't know how you could do that, but somehow you could do that, then it'll break apart. And you'll know when it's conditioned because it'll begin getting squeezed. You can squeeze with your fingers. So that's the first part. Break these apart, condition each one. You've got 8 of them to do. So usually, and this particular clay seems pretty hard. So it'll probably take you most of the class period just to do that part. But if you get that far, then you need to roll it into a cylinder. This is the same thing that we did in 6th grade, where we rolled it into a cylinder. And you want it pretty even. Okay? And then we're going to decide how much of this I want to make the head and how much of this I want to be the body. Now, we have to be able to balance these. They have to be able to stand. So you can't have a head that's like really overweighted and it, will pull it forward. So you have to kind of balance it out a little bit. So even if we wanted to make a little bit bigger head, this is how we would do it. So I'm going to place the cylinder in this sort of L frame that I have, and I'm going to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze. Now, I didn't really do any particular measurement to it because it's a fantasy creature. So if it doesn't exactly turn out the way you planned it to be, that's okay too. And in essence, if it was really like not even close to what you wanted, you can put it all back together, roll it out, and start it over again. We just don't want to do that too late in the process. So then after you do that, then is how you're going to decide how you want to do the legs. So if I want my creature standing on all fours, I'm just basically going to be pulling it out from the clay. So I'm squeezing and pinching until I feel like I have enough clay to make it into legs. Now it's really hard for me to tell you how to make yours because everybody's is different. But what I can do is show you how to make legs from a standing position. Yeah, standing position. Now, I'm just kind of going with how this is looking to me. I really pre-planned how I want this to be. But I think you can figure that part out. The biggest thing is going to be getting him or her to stand. So you want to balance it many times. So after you figure out that, then you can start working on the rest of the body parts. Okay. Now the one thing I'm going to caution is don't make things too thin. Okay, so I have had students want to add wings and things like that. I really caution anybody doing wings. They're large. They don't usually work out very well. And the last person I remember doing it, one of my students, even though I said, and she did it, they broke several times. So I wouldn't do anything that really protrudes too far from the body. It should come out from the body. And the other thing, which shouldn't be a problem because you only have 2 things of clay, but we shouldn't have it too tall. If you look at the polymer clay oven, you'll see that there's only a certain amount of height. And I don't know that because I'm not here or I'm not there. I'm at home. So you can measure your clay creature, your Alebrije, and then go measure the oven. If it doesn't, it has to have some clearance room at the top that it doesn't touch the coils, otherwise it will burn. Okay, so if it needs to stand up, then we need that room. It can lay down and bake, so that's another option. But it's all about, the size that it can be baked. Okay? All right, so there you go. So condition, 2 blocks of clay, 1 block, 2 block, put them together, roll them into the cylinder, then start pulling out from here the different features that you're going to make it that fantastical creature. All right, have fun.